Hello, good day. Welcome back to my channel. This time we're gonna talk about this very important law or regulation that affects all citizens in this country. Yes, everybody is going to get covered because we are all in this together, as they say. So this is the Republic Act 11469, or the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act that was recently passed by Congress and signed by President Rodrigo Duterte to address the coronavirus crisis. And a lot of provisions are some kind of questionable here. And so we can see, yes, this is a crisis, and in times of crisis, we need somehow desperate measures, and this is gonna be one of them, as we can see. So as we all know, this Bayanihan Act was used to sample some people in this country. I don't know why Coco Pimentel was not included, but as everybody knows, it was used by NBI to question or summon Vico Soto, the mayor in Pasig. It became trending on Twitter. It became a national buzz for the past 2 or 3 days. And he was summoned by NBI for questioning because, according to the NBI, he violated this law that was passed, I think, on the 24th. And the alleged infraction, the alleged crime committed by Vico Soto was few days prior to the passage of this law. So as we all know, if it's not expressly stated in the law that it's not going to be applied retroactively, then if the alleged crime is committed prior to the passage of the act, you're not going to get covered by the law. You're not liable. So why the hell he was summoned by the NBI, the National Bureau of Investigation, and why the hell the NBI had to be involved? So it should have been the DILG. So according to DILG spokesperson, some DILG spokesperson, they consider the tricycle issue as case closed. This is a tweet from CNN. I don't understand why the NBI pursued this case, but as far as DILG is concerned, we want to move on. So this is the DILG speaking. The DILG, as we all know, covers or has jurisdiction over local government units. So probably Vico Soto, which is now making so much noise in the political sphere in our country, might be a threat to the powers that be. So let's check the Twitter of Mayor Vico, and there is a tweet here. Let me just check here, and he addressed this matter. So why the heck NBI was still interested to question or prosecute this person? Well, I don't know. It should have been case closed according to the DALG, but like I said, the Bayanihan Act was used to question or to cover this mayor. And apart from this, well, this is definitely, as we all know, a national news that created national outrage, because a lot of people seem to like this mayor from Pasig because of the good actions or deeds he's been doing over the past months since he was elected. So everybody, probably a lot of people, millions of people like this guy, and he's being seen by whoever has the power in this country as a threat. All right, the incumbent power. I'm referring to the incumbent power. Okay, let's move on to another issue. My advice, it's gonna be applied to me because I'm very outspoken. I'm politically aware person. So this law can be used against anybody. So imagine the powers that be, those in the NBI, had the gall to use this power or law against a sitting mayor. And it's Vico Soto. He's part of a very powerful political movie clan in this country. So the mere fact that they had the gall, that they had this audacity to go after him, knowing that this law is not or should not be applied to Vico Soto. And apart from the fact that he did the alleged crime or act prior to the passage of the law, he was just asking, he was just, presenting some suggestions to the Malacanang Palace that why don't we just, allow tricycle drivers in Pasig City, or probably not just in Pasig City, to operate. So he's just making suggestion. It's just a suggestion. This is giving us some ideas now that, well, if you're gonna suggest something that some people don't like, you may be held liable under this act, Bayanihan Act. So the name itself, we should be helping each other, not using draconian powers to punish, the weak. But Vico Soto is definitely not the definition or personification of a weak and defenseless, individual. He's part of an elite political and a movie clan in this country. They have the money. How much more to you if the powers that be is going to apply this law against you for saying something that's not acceptable by some other people who have political agenda. Another issue that I'd like to discuss is this incident in Jansan. It just happened on March 28th, or a few days ago. So teacher and son were arrested without warrant in Jansan over Facebook post. So what the hell did the perpetrator post on Facebook that caught the eye or attention of authorities? So he posted this on Facebook account. The name of the alleged perpetrator or violator of this coronavirus law is Rodriguez Inocencio. So he's a teacher in Jansan, and it was a provoking Facebook post according to reports and the authorities. So the post read, "Maraming mamamatay sa gutom if hindi tayo magtutulong-tulong na mag-report sa Pangulo na inutil ang ating mayor. Panawagan sa walang makain, sugurin nyo nang sabay-sabay ang Lagaw Gym. Nakatambak doon ang pagkain para sa inyo." So this term, sugurin nyo, because it can be misinterpreted in a lot of ways. Because if we're gonna simply interpret this within the context as to how it was posted and the intention of the poster, the one who posted this, we can say that he's just telling people to go to the gym, Lago Gym, and claim the relief goods. Or it could be misinterpreted as inciting to violence. But it's the authorities who interpreted this. So the question now is, who's going to define the law? Who's gonna interpret it? If the post is this absurd. So sugurin is definitely to storm. That's the exact translation. To storm the gym and ask for relief goods. So according to the police or to the reports, he's also in violation of the Revised Penal Code, Article 142, inciting to sedition. So it's inciting to sedition. And one very interesting fact in this case is that the authorities applied a continuing crime. Okay, so they were able to arrest. The authorities claim that we can arrest the poster or the one who posted this even without any warrant, because this is a continuing crime. Why? Because the post is still live on Facebook. For those who understand the law, there are grounds for a warrantless arrest if it's a continuing crime. So the authorities can definitely arrest the perpetrator, meaning to say that the crime is continuously being committed by the perpetrator. So the authorities, because of the pace of the incident, they are justified to arrest you without warrant. As stated here, we arrested here because this is a continuing crime. It's still happening because when Attorney Clarin went to our office at about 4 p.m. this afternoon, the post is still there. So beware netizens, beware netizens. So the authorities are now interpreting a Facebook post to be a continuing crime, an offensive or defamatory or anything that is against the law. Any post that is deemed to be against the law can be deemed by authorities as a continuing crime as long as that post is still live on Facebook. It's not yet deleted. So a lot of things that we need to be aware of, because this law is so packed with a lot of jargons, a lot of statements or legalese that can be misinterpreted. Here is the law itself: an act declaring the existence of a national emergency arising from the coronavirus disease 2019 situation and a national policy in connection therewith. So I read some parts of the law. One thing that I really like about this is the compensation fund that will be given to any victims, as long as you are a health care professional, a victim of coronavirus, and those who died because of the virus are gonna get compensated. 1 million for a coronavirus death or related death. So this is some kind of a long law, but one thing that I'd like to cover apart from the two issues at hand is the spreading of false information. So there are two sections here that we need to cover. So one of which is section 4I, I think. So let me just check. Section 4 of the Act says, pursuant to Article 6, Section 23 of the Constitution, the President is hereby authorized to exercise power that are necessary and proper to carry out the declared national policy. So the President shall have the power to adapt or adopt the following temporary emergency measures to respond to crisis brought by the pandemic. So the letter I of this section states, so this is for online sellers. All right, online sellers, anything who are selling coronavirus or COVID-19 related merchandises, please read this provision. Letter I, continue to enforce measures to protect the people from hoarding. That's the reason why we've seen arrests or raids of storage for hoarding, businesses for committing hoarding, profiteering, right? Those who hoarded the goods like alcohol and then sell the same goods for double the price, for higher profits. So profiteering, injurious speculations, manipulation of prices, product deception. I'm gonna get there. Product deception is also covered. This is very important because I've seen a lot of, or a few coronavirus, the sellers of this product are claiming that this product is going to ward off the virus, which is totally a scam, which is totally fake news, which is totally deceptive. All right, so I'm gonna get there. And cartels, monopolies, or other combinations in restraint of trade. So this is already covered by the RPC, or Revised Penal Code, by the way, or other pernicious practices affecting the supply, distribution and movement of food, clothing, hygiene, sanitation products, medicine and medical supplies, fuel, fertilizers, chemical, building materials, implements, machinery, equipment, and spare parts acquired in agriculture, etc. So, in relation to this provision is another provision on section 6. On section 6. Okay, let me just tell you, by the way, before I get there, what particular provision was allegedly violated by Mayor Vico Soto. It's the section 6, article A. Section 6, Article A. So let me just read Section 6 penalties. In addition to acts or omissions already penalized by existing laws, the following offenses shall be punishable with imprisonment of 2 months or a fine of not less than 10,000 pesos but not more than 1 million pesos or both. Such imprisonment and fine at the discretion of the court. Letter A. This is the one allegedly violated by Mayor Vico Soto. LGU officials disobeying national government policies or directives imposing quarantines. So what did Mayor Vico again allegedly violated? Well, he simply made recommendations or suggestions to the president. Is that now a violation? So again, beware. Okay, because any authority in the government can misinterpret this and they can use this against you just to punish you. Alright? Just to punish you. Because they can arrest you, so that alone is going to make your life hell. Going back to the case of Mayor Vico Soto, I have a theory. Alright, so first, if you notice, the NBI summoned him, alright, for a crime that does not exist. But then, the DILG said, this is a closed case. This is a closed case. I don't know why the NBI is still trying to pursue him. Haven't you observed, guys? That could be a well-orchestrated scare tactic. Okay? The goal is not to target the mayor. The goal is to target us, to scare us. That if this happened to a mayor, to a celebrity, to a movie and political royalty, it can happen to you. The NBI and the DLG don't have any plan to pursue it, but this is just a sample of the scare tactic. And the target is not the mayor, the target is you, me, and us. You understand that? Owners and possessors of privately owned hospitals, including health facilities, etc. So I'm gonna point to letter C. Engaging in hoarding, profiteering, injurious. This is related to Article 4I, the one I mentioned. But then the letter F is the very important. This is going to apply to anyone. The alleged perpetrator in Jensen as well. This is the one used against him, apart from the sedition, act against sedition. So letter F, individuals or groups creating, perpetrating, or spreading false information regarding the COVID-19 crisis on social media and other platforms, such information having no valid or beneficial effect on the population. This is very, very loaded. So what is the definition of having no valid or beneficial effect? So if you're going to criticize the government, for example, a valid criticism that the government, okay, is being so incompetent in handling, for example, the coronavirus crisis, are you going to be sampled? Are you going to be covered by the law? Can they use the law against you? Right. Another example is this. A lot of people on Twitter, netizens, were tweeting this hashtag Oust Duterte. anyone who tweeted or retweeted this hashtag can be covered as well. Because why? The case of the teacher in Jensen and his son, the case of, let me just check on the name again. I forgot the name. I'm not really good at name. The violator of the law here is again a teacher, and his name is Rodriguez Inocencio. So all those who shared the post may be held liable as well. So under this section of the news, liability of those who shared. All those who shared this, Facebook post, according to authorities, may be held liable as well. So for those retweeting this Oust Duterte, it can be misinterpreted by someone corrupt, people in authority, as being against the law, being against the Bayanihan Act. They can probably reason out that this has no valid benefit at all. Okay, so if we get back to the law itself, so it says here, such information having no valid or beneficial effect on the population. So someone can argue that the Oust Duterte, the hashtag Oust Duterte, has no valid or beneficial effect on the population. You are spreading fake news. You are causing chaos in our society. So anyone can argue that. Anyone who's a fanatic supporter of the president. And let me just continue reading this. And are clearly geared to promote chaos, panic, anarchy, or confusion. So if someone, a Duterte supporter, for example, goes to NBI and claims that, his friend or his enemy who posted this hashtag Duterte, let me just give you an example here. This is just an example, so not personal, so for edification purposes. So for example, Chomsky, who retweeted this, People Power 1 was not peaceful at all. Countless died building up to the so-called non-violent uprising. EDSA 1 was built upon the backs of the countless martyrs and revolutionaries who fought for a freedom and justice. Oust Duterte now. And it's getting like a lot of retweets, 368 retweets. Any Duterte supporter in power can misinterpret this as inciting to sedition or causing panic, confusion, or violence. So Chomsky, if you're listening or watching this segment, they can apply the law against you, including those who retweeted this. This is how dangerous the act is. If it happened to Vico Soto, if it happened to a teacher in Jensen, okay, it can happen to anyone. It can happen to anyone. This is an emergency crisis. The government can do anything. As Duterte said yesterday, you can be detained for violating the law indefinitely. Bahala kayo sa buhay niyo, he said. So, for example, another one, protests against the Duterte administration through the years. Trolls may have multiple accounts, but the number of people on the streets do not lie. I hope you're all ready for bigger protests this 2020. We have a country to win back from the hands of tyranny. So any Duterte supporter in power in the NBI can use this against you because they can always argue. Let me just read it back again. Individuals or groups creating, perpetuating, or spreading false information regarding COVID-19 crisis on social media and other platforms. So what's that false information? Such information having no valid or beneficial effect on the population. They define it that, the spreading false information as having no valid or beneficial effect on the population. So who's going to tell us the definition of this having no valid or beneficial effect on the population? Who has the power to tell us what this actually means in law and in fact? all right, and are clearly geared to promote chaos. The information, so it's referring to the information, clearly geared to promote chaos, panic, anarchy, fear, or confusion. So, like I said, earlier, if a Duterte supporter is going to NBI and complains that, hey, I've seen some of my friends, some people I know who are actually his enemy, posting this, I was Duterte, and I felt confusion. I felt fear that they are posting all this. They are actually calling on the population to overthrow the government. Act on this, NBI. Arrest those people. If that's, if, like I said, if it happened to Vico, it can happen to you. And those participating in cyber incidents that make use or take advantage of the current situation. Cyber incidents. This is also a cyber incident, making Oust Duterte trend. This is, or can be considered, can be misinterpreted by anyone as a cyber incident. Because what's the definition of cyber incident? Tell me. So it can be any trending on Twitter calling for the ouster of the president. That's an incident. It's cyber. It's done on the internet. So it's not just like cyber crimes. It can be anything that is not good for the government. So, this law is very ambiguous. This is very broad. Okay, it can be misinterpreted. So if it's broad and ambiguous, all right, it should be interpreted in favor of the rights of the Filipino people, in favor of the Bill of Rights. Okay, the Bill of Rights is there not to restrict us. It's a restriction or limitation on the powers of the government, on government corruption, on government tyranny. That's the main purpose of the Bill of Rights. So if the law is not clear, it's ambiguous. If it's ambiguous, if it's broad, then the court should interpret this in favor of the rights of the Filipino people, in favor of the Bill of Rights. So, like I said earlier, instead of focusing on a lot of issues that can be settled by the local government, for example, by the DILG, like DILG said in the case of Vico Soto, it's already case closed for us. Why the heck the NBI had to intervene and still summon the mayor? So all of this can be settled by both parties, but there are some issues that we need, our authorities need to focus on, which are the scammers, the people who are trying to profit of this crisis. All right, but anyways, I'm gonna end this now. So be careful. Do not post any defamatory, any fake news, anything that can attract the attention of a fanatic of some politicians, because they can use this against you. Remember, we are under lockdown. We are undergoing this emergency situation, so they can use this against you and they can arrest you without warrant. And there have been a few examples as we tackled here. But anyways, thank you for listening and watching this video. If you like this, please comment, like the video, share as well, and subscribe. This is again an Uncensored Asian vlog, and have a good one to all of you. Stay safe.